Okay, so I was saying that for us to install to implement the system core, we are going to do it on a virtual machine, right? So we are going to download the Oracle virtual machine from this link. So my machine is Windows, so we are going to download this Windows installer, right? So if you have Mac OS, so use this DMG package. If you have Linux Ubuntu, then for each version of Ubuntu, you can use the corresponding the DB package, right? So we are going to download the Windows installer, right? So it will download. So I've already downloaded it. So I'll stop this, right? Because it's already on my machine. So this is the VirtualBox VM that we are going to use. So we are going to use this VirtualBox. Then also we have to download the Ubuntu. So we are going to use an Ubuntu ISO image. So we are going to download that Ubuntu ISO image from this link. Right. So you download the Ubuntu desktop. So we are going to download this Ubuntu LTS. So it's about 5.8 gig. So we download this Ubuntu. So if you click it to download, but I've already downloaded it. So this is the ISO image that we are going to use, right? So now let's install the VirtualBox. Okay, so you just go with the default settings. Next, then you install. So just wait until the installation is done. Then click finish and it will open this interface for the Oracle VirtualBox. So now we are going to create the virtual machine from using this Oracle VirtualBox. So what you are going to do, we are going to create a new virtual machine, right? So we create new. So we are going to give it our name. So we give it the name. So I'll call it OS admin. You can give it any name that you want. Then the next thing you have to select the ISO image. So you click on other. Then you go to your downloads where you downloaded the Ubuntu ISO image. So we are going to select this ISO image, right? So it will detect that it is Linux and it is running Ubuntu 64-bit. So we click next. So the username for your VM, I'll say OS admin, since it's a OS class. So the username I will say OS admin. Then I'll put my password. So this password you can put any that is of your choice. Right. Then the host name you can put whatever I want. So I'll put OSVM. You can put whatever I want here on the host name, right? It depends up to you, or you can leave it as default. Then you click next. So the memory. So if you have an 8 gig memory, at least 8 gig memory, then you can put it to 4 gig for the VM. So this is 4 gig. So if you have at least for 8 gig memory, then put it at 4 gig, right? But if you have less than 8 gig of RAM, then leave it as default, right? But I suggest that if you use 8 gig memory, then put it at 4 gig for the VM. Then the CPU, if you have a computer with Core i5, then you can extend the CPUs of the VM to 4, right? So for example, if you check your computer, you go to this PC or my computer, you just double click anywhere, my properties. So you see that this computer is 16 gig RAM, and what is the, so it's 11th generation Core i5. So if you have this Core i5, you can just Google how many cores have this CPU. But in this case, this Core i5, it has 6 cores. So if it has 6 cores, I can even assign 4, 3 or 4. Right. So in this case, on my machine, I assigned 4. Right. So if you have Core i5, Core i7, you can assign four cores for your VM. It's fine. Right. So we have 4 gig for the RAM and 4 CPU cores. Right. So we can click next. Then for this disk size, so we have to create a virtual disk. So at least it should be 50 gig and more. So if it's less than 50 gig, your VM can run out of memory or out of disk when we are installing the Linux kernel. So me, I'll put 70 gig because I have enough space on my computer, right? So this is the free space. So according to this free space, at least you have to install 50 gig and more. So here I'll just select 100 and next. So we have created the VM. So now it's powering up the VM, right? If it doesn't power up, you can click start. So we want to install Ubuntu. So you click enter, it will install Ubuntu. Okay, so it's starting it's now starting the VM using the ISO image that we have downloaded and selected. So it's starting the VM now. Okay, let's just give it some time. Okay, so at this point, it has started the VM, but it hasn't installed the Ubuntu. So now we have to run the Ubuntu installation steps using this Ubuntu wizard. So we have to install the Ubuntu now. So just select English. Next, keyboard. I'll just select English. Then use wired connection. Then next, install Ubuntu. So here, no Wi-Fi device is detected. So it will just use the virtual connection, the virtual Ethernet connection on the VM. So even if you are connected on Wi-Fi, it's fine. You just leave it as use wired connection. Then you just click next. Then install Ubuntu. Then interactive installation. So just click next. Then click next. Then here, don't select anything. Just click next. Then erase disk and install Ubuntu. So just click next also. Yeah. So what is your account? So just say OS admin. This is my preferred name. Then here, the username OS admin, I'll just leave it like that. You can put your own username, it's fine. Then I'll put my password. So you have to remember this password. So when we are installing, you have to use this password. So when you want to have sudo privileges, like when you say sudo su, and it will ask you for a password. So you have to remember this password, right? So next, then next, then it will install the VM. So it will take a couple of minutes. So you can grab a cup of coffee or water whilst it's installing the Ubuntu. Okay, it's almost done. It will take about a minute or so. Okay, it's still installing. So if you configure with maybe one CPU core, this will take a lot of time. So when you configure the CPU cores for the VM, at least try a minimum of 3 cores. If there are less than 3, then it becomes a problem because your VM will be very slow, right? So let's just wait a couple of minutes. Okay, so yeah, so we have now finished installing the Ubuntu operating system. So we can restart the VM. So we're going to restart the VM now. Okay, so the VM have started. So we are going to log into the VM. Okay, so it will welcome you to Ubuntu. It means that the OS has been installed successfully. So now what we are going to do, you can just close this, just next, is fine, and finish. Right, so usually if you observe, right, you cannot copy from outside the VM and try to copy inside the VM. Like for example, if I open the terminal, okay, so I want to open the terminal. So this is where I'm going to run the commands, right? So for example here, I want to copy the commands, right? So just for example, sudo su, I want to get into the privilege mode. So let's let me show you. So I copied that, but I cannot paste it inside the VM, right? So that is a problem. So you have to type the commands, or unless you log into the Notion file from inside the VM, right? Okay. So I'm going to share this Notion file to you. So you have to open this file using your VM browser. So I'm going to log into the Notion file that I'm going to send to you. So I'll sign in. Mm. So we are going to be using uh this script to do the OS implementation or the system core implementation. I saw we are just going to be following step by step. So for now, this is what you do to install the virtual machine. So this is our Ubuntu virtual machine that we are going to be using. Okay, so the next video that I'm going to send to you is about the actual implementation of the system cores.